As we end a tumultuous work week at the White House, another top advisor may be on his way out. Sources tell CBS News National Security Advisor HR McMaster is very likely to be next to lose his job in the administration. The three-star general was named advisor after Mike Flynn was fired in February of last year. If he leaves, McMaster will join an unprecedented number of officials who have just departed in over a year. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson fired just 3 days ago. Economic advisor Gary Cohn announced his resignation just 10 days ago. But White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders is pushing back on reports about McMaster. She tweeted last night, just spoke to the president and General HR McMaster. Contrary to reports, they have a good working relationship and there are no changes at the NSC. Joining me now is Edward-Isaac Dovere. He's chief Washington correspondent for Politico. So, Isaac, how exactly has HR McMaster been navigating his role as national security advisor while you've got these sort of points of contention out there?
Well, it's been known for several weeks, at least, if not months, that McMaster was having trouble in the White House, having trouble with the president and their relationship. He has clashed with other members of the senior staff. And so there has not been an expectation for a while that McMaster would be very long for his job in the White House. That said, this is a very important job. He is the national security advisor to the president, and going at it at a point where there has been severe shakeup this week with the Secretary of State being fired, and with President Trump saying that he plans to meet with Kim Jong-un as early as May. This is not a time where you'd think that there would be a lot of room for changing up who the staff is on the national security front.
So what do you make of the fact that Sarah Huckabee Sanders denied these reports?
Well, her denial last night was in the present tense. It was a way of saying that the story was not true right then. I know it seems like that's parsing it, but in this White House we've learned that there are various ways that they parse the statements that are made to make it seem like things are one way and when they're not in fact that way overall. So I don't know that we should take what she tweeted last night as a definitive statement. HR McMaster is safe in his job and will be safe in his job for any great length of time.
You know, and as you touched on, Isaac, the fact the U.S. is dealing with a number of complicated national security matters, Russia, North Korea, which is McMaster's portfolio. What does it mean for the White House's handling of those issues if he goes?
Look, the president is not someone who is deeply knowledgeable or experienced on these issues. That doesn't mean that he can't figure them out along the way, but figuring them out along the way often requires having people around him who can help him get up to speed on things. And that's true of people even who've been in office for many years or been around these issues for many years. You've had Dwight Eisenhower was the commander of the Allied forces in Europe, but he had people around him when he was president who were also advising him about military matters and foreign policy matters. So President Trump believes that he can go at this from the force of his personality and from his gut, and that seems to be how he's going to approach this without the help of more seasoned people, more experienced people both in the world and in dealing with him.
Two sources also tell CBS News that Chief of Staff John Kelly could resign. What have been the issues of contention during his tenure as Chief of Staff?
There are many, but one of the big ones is that President Trump has felt constrained by John Kelly. Kelly took his approach as limiting the amount of information, limiting the amount of phone calls, limiting the amount of visitors into the Oval Office that President Trump was having. And that is something that President Trump bucked up against. And he did not enjoy that. He has felt like it's not John Kelly's job to manage him, but that is how John Kelly has approached the job. He's also been, Kelly, clashing with other members of the president's staff like Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump, of course, the president's son-in-law and daughter, and that has created tension as well.
So let's say there are departures. Any idea who might be tapped to take over?
We are at a point of turnover in this administration, in this White House specifically, that is unprecedented, and it is proving hard for most people who look at this to see that there is going to be a great appetite to join the White House, to join the staff from most experienced people. That leaves the question out there of if there are all these jobs to fill, who fills them, and are they top quality people? And if they're not, what does that do to the White House? What does it do to the president's job performance? And what does it do to the way the government affects what's happening in this country and around the world?
You use the word unprecedented. We're talking 24 top aides leaving in just over a year. Do you get the sense that in Washington, if these latest round of changes are made, that things might potentially mellow out?
I don't think mellow out is a phrase that we would use about President Trump or the White House in any context. And certainly haven't seen that since he got into politics in the beginning of 2015 and June of 15 when he started the race, and haven't seen that at any point since. And it's certainly not the way that he has conducted himself as a public figure over the course of his life for the last 50 or so years in the public realm. So mellow out does not seem like where we're headed here. Mellow
out, I guess it's not one of the speeds that he's used to, huh, Isaac?
Right.
So at the same time, we know about the Muller investigation. They've been focusing on the president. But, you know, this subpoena for the Trump Organization records, did it come as a surprise?
It does not come as a surprise that Bob Mueller is digging in deep on various issues related to President Trump, and we knew that there was some attention being paid to his finances. What we weren't sure of is how deep he would go into the company records here and whether he'll go beyond questions related to 2016 specifically or related to Russia specifically. President Trump had said that that kind of inquiry would be a red line for him, but we don't know whether he'll actually stand by that, and we don't know exactly what it is that are in the subpoena requests, or subpoenas, they're not requests, what information is being sought, and that may help shape the response that comes from President Trump about this. But look, we are at a point where it is very possible that the shakeups that are going on in the White House might lead to the Attorney General resigning or being fired. If he does, then probably an effect of that would be that the president would look to either put a hold or a tighter grip on Bob Mueller, or could lead to Mueller being fired all the way through. And we don't know what would happen then, what the response would be from members of Congress and others around the country.
So with that in mind, Isaac, the White House keeps citing the Republican House intelligence report that cited there's no collusion in response to Mueller's subpoenas. I'm curious if there are Republicans who are concerned about the timing of this latest development, and exactly how do you think this might affect their agenda moving forward?
It will affect the agenda moving forward, in that this is the thing that everybody cannot stop talking about, in part because there are revelations that continue to come out about this. The House intelligence report was produced by Republicans on the committee and came to a conclusion that even they have expressed some worries about, according to Politico reporting that we have put up, that they may have moved too quickly here and rushed to get something out. There is this question here of collusion. It's not the only question that is in front of the people looking at this as they try to figure out what exactly Russia was up to. It may be that they find collusion, it may be that they don't find collusion, but there are other aspects that, that we seem likely to find out more about as this continues.
Edward-Isaac Dovere with Politico, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.